Okay, it's the end of the session. I'm here with Stoney. This is Stoney Dog, and Stoney's roadmap to success. He's a great little dog. He just, I think, is confused about what his position is, how he can contribute to the group, and as a result of that, he's acting like a guard dog. And so he goes nuts when the UPS guy comes, or FedEx guy, or the mailman. Mailman actually doesn't come to the house anymore. And so that's a territorial behavior. So I'm going to show the guardians after we get done with this how they can actually teach him to move away from the door, and so that we create whenever you have a dog that's reactive, the best thing you do is increase the distance between them and whatever they're reactive to. There you go, Stoney. You can go wherever you want. You can't take the treats though. All right, so basically the first thing we talked about was rules. Most people don't have any rules for their dog, and then they wonder why their dog doesn't listen to them. In the dog world, leaders are the dogs who enforce the rules. So if you don't have any rules, dogs learn through consistency, repetition, and good timing. You have essentially 3 seconds to correct or reward a dog for them to be able to make the connection. And so if we don't have any rules, we can't be consistent. We're not repeating anything in that 3-second window. And it's hard for the dogs to kind of see us acting like a leader because we're not burning energy. So the first thing actually, before we talk about rules, the first thing we talked about was exercise. Most dogs are not exercised enough. And so basically, some of the creative ways of exercising, one of the ones that I do, the Guardian here is already doing with Stoney, which is what I call the doggy stairmaster. So I go to the stairs and I throw a treat up and down the stairs. Now the Guardian here does it with a stuffed animal, which is great. And so the first time I would do it with an empty stomach, remember dogs have an empty stomach, so it's not attached to anything. It can fold over and it can pressurize and explode. It can be fatal. So dogs should never exercise until it's been 90 minutes after they've exercised, after they've eaten before you exercise. Walking is okay. Walking is different. It's stuff where they do a lot of lateral movement. That's where it's dangerous. So basically what I do is the first time I do these exercises, I want to do it until I know what his maximum number is. So basically, come. So I would throw it up and down the stairs. Maybe I give him a treat every time he comes back up the stairs. But if he does it without it, you don't need to. And keep on doing that with an empty stomach until he's like, you're crazy, I'm not going down anymore. I count each down, up as 1 repetition. So maybe it's 30, 20, whatever it is. So we find out what the maximum number of repetitions is that he needs to set him up for success. Now, exercise is like a multiplier and amplifier, and more exercise will make it easier to fix your problems. Less exercise will amplify the problems that you do have. So we want to set them up for success. If we're going to have the UPS guy coming, or maybe the delivery guys come at a certain time of the day, if we know that, or the mail comes at a certain time of the day, we can do the doggy stairmaster first. Just make sure he has 10 minutes to recover before the mail guy arrives, or mail carrier. It could be mail woman. And sit. And so now we depleted that top level of energy. It's going to be easier to, it's not going to fix your problem. It's going to make it easier to fix your problem. So the doggy stairmaster is one. Another one that you can do is, I call it scent games. And scent games is basically just hiding treats around your house. So if this is the leg of the couch, I just put one right here. He comes around the corner and it's right there. Every time he licks it up, I say the command word. Remember when dogs get a treat, the treat should always go in their mouth first, and after the treat is in their mouth, that's when they should hear the command word. That makes the treat more valuable, or the command word more valuable, because it's associated with the actual treat. So, sit. All right, so basically for exercise, the doggy stairmaster's one. Googling scent games, sit, is another great one to do it. You can also get him a doggy backpack. I'm losing my camera deal here. Let's kind of adjust you again. There we go. All right, so a doggy backpack allows you to put some weight in a harness, essentially with pockets on either side. That weight makes the workout more efficient. So that's a great way to exercise him. There's a dog park only a block away. That's a great way to exercise him first. But a lot of people never consider exercising your dog before a walk or before you go to the dog park is really helpful. Most people think of a dog park as a gym for dogs. The analogy I use is a dog park you should think about is more like a Starbucks. We don't go to a coffee house and bust out push-ups. Well, maybe in Venice. But usually we go there to socialize. Most people bring their dogs there. They're full of energy. They come in and they sprint around the dog park. That shows up all the other dogs. That gets the other dogs worked up. Other dogs are now more likely to go and correct Stoney or the other dogs and say, hey, I can run fast too. You're making me look bad for my humans. So if we can set them up by getting them some exercise first, then go to the dog park, you're going to have a much better experience. Just make sure that you always give your dog 10 minutes to recover after the exercise ends before the next activity. If you're going to drive, if driving is a component, driving doesn't count because they're going to be excited in the car. Most of us confuse excitement for happiness when it comes to dogs, but excited is an unbalanced state of mind. If I'm going to have surgery, the last thing I want my surgeon to be is excited. I want her to be calm and balanced and focused on what she's cutting open so she doesn't cut open or cut off the wrong appendage. So for dogs, it's the same thing. But we see their mouth open and we misinterpret that as happiness. You want to go for a walk? You want to go for a walk? You want to walkie walkie? And the dog's jumping on, going crazy. We wonder why they can't listen to us. The energy they have in the house as we leash them up is the energy they're going to carry on the walk. Is he pretty excited on the walk or for the leash?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you could do for that is, let's say the leash is right over here on the edge of my screen.
Yeah, he likes to walk. He
Loves it. Okay. Do you narrate? We go for a walk, walkie-walkie. Okay, good. A lot of people narrate and they get their dog worked up. So
a little bit, like you want to go for a walk?
Yeah. So I wouldn't do that. So let's say that again, let's say the leash is right here. So what I would do is get up and start walking to where the leash is. As soon as he walks in front of me, I turn around and walk and sit back down. For dogs, whoever's in front is perceived as the leader. So he's like, oh, I know where we're going for a walk. I'll beat you there. As soon as he gets there, he's like, all right, put the leash on. Why are you sitting down over there? And then he kind of sheepishly comes back over. I wait for him to calm down. Then I get up and repeat. This takes some time, but if you do this at times when you're not planning on taking him for a walk, people think it's teasing. It's actually called desensitizing. It's a very effective thing to do. So eventually you get to the point where you can walk all the way here to where the leash is and he's staying behind you. Then I tell him to sit one time. If he doesn't sit within 3 seconds, then I walk away and sit down. If he sits, then I start reaching for the leash. I reach this high, and he gets wiggles and gets up. I pull my hand back down, and I tell him to sit. If he sits, I reach again. If he wiggles, I pull it back. And so eventually, at first it'll be here, then here, then here, then here. You're gradually getting closer and closer. But every time that he doesn't behave the way that you want, he shows excitement, the process stops. And if I tell him to sit, I reach, he gets up, I say, sit, 1, 2, 3. If he doesn't sit by 3, I go sit back down on the couch. This is why it's helpful to do this at times when you're out playing and going for a walk anyways. So if you sit down, he's like, oh my God, I was going for a walk. Why didn't I sit down? And you don't care because you weren't planning on taking him for a walk anyways, and it desensitizes him. Eventually, he stays seated. You can actually pick up the leash, you attach it to his collar. He's nice and calm when you actually go to the door to walk. He's nice and relaxed. He's going to listen to you much better if he's relaxed. And again, exercising before the walk or before this exercise can also help set him up for success. Other forms of exercise, you can scent games, like I said, hide treats around your place. You can also play fetch, which is kind of what you're doing with the stairs. And then you can also feed him out of like something called an Omega Paw treat ball. It's about this big. It's about $20 on Amazon or Chewy. You can also get a snuffle mat. The one that I use is the gray one. It's the first one that'll show up on Amazon. And you put his food in there and then work it in, these tassels. He's got to use those to find it, move the tassel, lick up the kibble, and repeat that 300-400 pieces of kibble. That makes him earn his food. That boosts his self-esteem. It's a way of getting exercise without you having to exercise him, and it's also calming and relaxing and stimulating for him. All right, we also talked about rules. The rules that we suggested, not being allowed on the furniture, order those X mats and put those on all the furniture so he doesn't get up there. At the same time, teach him to go to the dog bed. If you forget how to do that, message me. I have a video I can share with you that shows you how to do that. So for dogs, the higher they sit, the more rank or status. Sitting here says we are peers. Stoney likes to sit up here. So he thinks he's looking down at the humans. That means he needs to protect his humans. That's part of the reason why he's aggressive when people come to the door, because he's in the guard dog position. So if we eliminate his ability to be on that perch, that really helps him identify less as a security dog. All right, so we also, another rule, not being allowed to go through a door unless he sits first. Go to the door, say sit once. If he doesn't sit within 3 seconds, walk away and sit down, wait 1 minute. After 1 minute, go back to the door and command him again to sit. If he doesn't sit this time, I'll walk away for 2 minutes, then for 4 minutes, then for 8 minutes. It's not being mean. You're saying if you want to go outside, you have to say please. You say please as a dog by sitting. And if you can't be bothered to sit, I can't be bothered to open that door. You have leverage at this point. And as soon as he sits, then you open the door and let him out. But if he doesn't sit, he doesn't get what he wants. That motivates him to want to listen to you. And I think Stoney has a big wanting to listen problem, because his guardians love the heck out of him, but he gets everything they keep on repeating the command words, or one of his guardians feeds him off the fork, which you should never do. So basically it's hard for him to, one of the questions I ask my clients, and I would ask you, if you're watching this, is what is your dog's motivation to listen to you? We think we're doing a service by giving them everything they want, but we take away any reason for them to need us or want us. So by feeding him out of a snuffle mat, and if he doesn't eat, we pick up the food, we dump it empty, and put the empty bowl back down, and the snuffle mat goes away. So you eat when I tell you to eat, and if you don't want to eat, that's totally fine. It's up to you. You're an individual. You're free ride as an American dog. Just do what you want. But the kitchen's not open. Later on, when he's hungry, why didn't I eat? Next time food is offered, I better eat. And the humans are going to eat something first, because dogs eat in the order of their rank. So now the dog sees that you're eating. What I would probably do is do with the bowl first. Put his bowl down and then do kind of a version of that leave it exercise I showed you. So he starts going for it. Here's the bowl is right here. I would go ahead and he starts going for it. I lower my hand. If this is the dog's head, so I put the bowl down and he starts going for it. I put my hand down on it. He backs away and my hand raises. He goes towards it. This is the dog's head. So as soon as he goes forward, I go to block it and cover it up. As soon as he backs away, then I take my protection away. Eventually, you'll have to do this a lot, and eventually he'll back away. You'll pull your hand up and he'll stay here. Then you can pull your hand back and he stays there. You're going to eat something first, and then you're going to give him permission to eat, and come up with a funny word that means to eat. Pork chop, hamburger, chimichanga, whatever you want. Every time for 4 months he takes his first bite of food, here's chimichanga. That becomes his command word to eat. Okay, so other rules: shouldn't be allowed in the kitchen when you're eating, when you're preparing food. Shouldn't be allowed in the around the dining room table when you're eating.
Our place is really small, though.
Okay, and so I'll see it when I go in there. I've been doing the session outside because it's Corona. We'll take a look, and we come. It might not be 7 feet, it might be 4 feet. We make allowances. It's California. We don't have as much real estate here. But just having him practice, I can't go in the kitchen. There's nothing but air blocking me. And I don't go in the kitchen because I respect my guardian as an authority figure, and I'm doing the self-restraint myself. If we want him to restrain himself when a truck comes or a delivery driver or whatever it is, he has to practice that. And the best way to do that is to practice it in analogs that are not as intense as somebody actually coming to the door. When there's nobody in the house, it's just you two, and he can't go in the kitchen, that's a great way to him. Do you go in? Okay, that's a great way for him to practice. Not be allowed in the kitchen when you're preparing food. The rest of the time he can come and go. Not be allowed anybody who's eating food. Has to sit at the door to go out, and then again, not allowed in the furniture. But you might also make him sit before you put the leash on, before you prepare his food, and different things along those lines. So look for other opportunities. There's rules. Like I said, in the dog world, leaders are the ones who enforce rules. We also talked about petting with a purpose and passive training. These are probably the two easiest things that you can do that have the most return on investment. So also the guardian's doing something right now. So if I hold my hand like this, you can see Stoney, the lower I go, the more it's for him. When I want him to sit, I raise it over his head. You can't see it, but he just sat down. Then I lower it and let him lick it off my hand. So when it comes to dogs, leaders tell, followers ask. So right now he jumps up on his humans, which is a dog's way of saying you belong to me. And the human was petting him. And so that tells him, not only do I think she belongs to me, she agrees, she petted me. So next time he jumps up on you, what I refer to you is when he jumps up on you, cross your arms and freeze and become as boring as possible. Don't move, don't tell him anything. As soon as he jumps down, tell him to sit or to lie down. So sitting and lying down are more subordinate positions. If he sits within that 3-second window, then I pet him under his chin. If he's already sitting here, I might tell him to lie down or come and sit over here. He has to do something to change his state in order to earn that affection. I'm old. If I sit on my knees too long, I'm not going to feel him. If he doesn't sit, then I show him I have 9 other things that I could be doing. That makes your sits more powerful, or more valuable, excuse me. And so after a while, he'll recognize I can't tell the humans what to do anymore. I have to ask. And better than ask, hey, Stoney, is I have to pay for the privilege of their attention. I pay for it through a currency of obedience. And he'll start coming and sitting in front of you to prepay for the attention. When he does that, make sure you do reach over and pet him. If you don't, otherwise he's just going to go back to jumping or you, nudging you, or doing it, whatever else. Now his guardian's about to appear right over there, so he's probably going to run over towards him. I got the leash. All right. Hi, Mike. We're doing a little bit of a video for you.
Debrief video.
Yes, so you can watch it later on.
He just rewarded the jump up.
And so the guardian, so he jumped over on the guardian, and the guardian picked him up. Sorry, I accidentally stopped the recording, so I'll merge these together. So basically, if we pick a dog up, that's a way of rewarding him. So if a dog jumps up on us, it's saying, you belong to me now. If you pet it, you're saying, yes, I am your bee. If you pick the dog up, you're like, yes, I totally belong to you, and I'm worshiping you and carrying you up. So the guardian means it in the actual best way, but the way that dogs interpret it is different how we mean it, and it confuses the dog, and that's contributing to why the dog is protective and possessive, because he thinks his job is to protect the humans, and the humans agree with him, but the humans don't always listen to him. If you're a parent and you have a child that doesn't listen to you, you get stressed out because the child jumps off the balcony. It's going to hurt itself one day. So you get mad at the child. You're not really mad. You're stressed. This happens for dogs all the time. And everybody thinks of rules as a negative, so they don't want to have any rules for the dog. But that confuses the dog into thinking, well, they're not enforcing any rules, so clearly the humans are not the leaders. I'm the leader, and so I'm not responsible for them, but they don't listen to me. So I'm going to have to bark like crazy so these delivery people don't make it into the house to realize that my humans are gullible and they can be taken advantage of. And it's, again, the opposite of what we intend. So for petting with a purpose and passive training, leaders tell, followers ask. So next time he jumps up on you or nudges you, instead of petting him and saying, yes, I belong to you, I want you to give him a counter order. Tell him to sit. If he's already sitting here, you tell him to sit here or to lie down. If he does it within 3 seconds, you pet him under his chin. Proud dogs have their nose up. Petting here creates nose up. Petting here creates nose down. So don't ever pet him up here. You can pet him anywhere you want, but I prefer all things are equal to pet him under his chin. And then I say the command word only. Most of us say sit, the dog sits, you say good boy. Come, good boy. Lay down, good boy. What does good boy mean? Nothing. For dogs, a single interaction of affirmation is no different than 2 or 3. So if you look at him, that's an affirmation. If you pet him, give him a treat, that's an affirmation. So if he comes to you, he can learn tremendously faster if when he comes to you, you pet him and say the word come, because that's what he did, and that's why you're paying him, and that's why you're putting in context. When he sits, pet him and say sit. When he lays down, pet him and say crash or chill or whatever your word is. So after a while, he'll recognize, I can't tell these humans what to do anymore. I have to ask. And better than ask, I have to pay for the privilege of their attention. And I pay for it through a currency of obedience. What will happen is Stoney will come start sitting in front of you to prepay for that attention. When he does, you bet your butt you better pet him. Otherwise, he can go back to nudging you or jumping up on you. Now, I use the watchword of paycheck. Paycheck means I suspect someone's forgetting to pet with a purpose. So Mike came in, and if Mike comes in and sees that I'm petting Stoney and Stoney's standing, Mike says, paycheck, I would stop petting him, even if I did it right. And I would tell Stoney to sit. If he sits, I pet him under his chin, say sit, and tell Mike. Actually, Mike asked him to sit. When you opened the door, he stood up, and I continued petting, but thank you, because I do forget to pet without a purpose. Even if I want to pet Stoney, I still tell Stoney to sit. And if Stoney doesn't sit, he doesn't get any attention. Stoney's guardian, his other guardian, was asking him to do commands 6, 7, 9, 12 times, and he was ignoring her the whole time. All your dog is doing is practicing not listening to you. So come clearly means stand here and look at my human, because that's what I'm doing when I hear the command word over and over. So inside with petting with a purpose, you tell the dog to do something small. Sit is the smallest thing it can do. And if it doesn't sit, it doesn't get your attention. After a while, the dog will have more respect for you as a leader because it's asking for attention versus telling you. Number 2, you boost the dog's self-esteem and confidence. Insecure dogs are the most reactive dogs. Confident dogs brush things off and let things go. So if we help our dog have confidence, it's going to be less reactive. Making it earn its affection will boost its self-esteem and its confidence. It also helps you practice sit, come, lay down, all the rest of these things. And it also makes your pets more valuable because you're not giving out pets for no reason. Stoney's a really good-looking dog. He's been getting a guy his looks. Not anymore. If you want it, you get turn 3, you need some personality, buddy. So basically, if he doesn't sit, he doesn't get the attention from you. Next time, he's much more likely to want to sit because he didn't get that the last time. But if your boss tells you to do something and you don't do it, and they tell you again, and they pay you again, and you don't do it, you don't have to do anything your boss says. Your boss says either you do it or you're finding a new job tomorrow, you're going to get it done. Now, we don't want to threaten the dog. What we want to do is let him know, look, if you want this attention, this is what you have to do to earn it. And after a while, he will start sitting to prepay for that attention. That's a beautiful thing. Now, we also talked about celebrating the things that dog does that we like. Most of us inadvertently train our dogs to misbehave. We come home and the dog is jumping up and down, and it jumps up on us, we pet it, or we talk to it. Or if we don't like it, we say, stop, chill out, Stoney, stop, stop, stop. So clearly stop means spaz out and jump up and down on the human, because that's what I'm doing when I hear that command word. Passive training, or what I call celebrating, does the opposite. So every time Stoney comes to you on his own without you asking him, pet him and say come. Every time he sits down, pet him and say sit. When he lays down, pet him and say crash or chill or whatever your word is. When he takes his first bite of food, say lasagna or chimichanga or whatever the word is you want to use. So you're putting in context. When you do these things, they get my attention. Remember, good attention and bad attention for dogs is the same thing. So if Stoney comes to me, I ignore it, and I didn't ask for it. He comes and lays down at me. I take that for granted. He drops a ball, I take that for granted. He rolls over on his back, I take for granted. But boy, as soon as he jumps to the door or barks or chews or bites someone, I instantly correct him. Since good attention and bad attention are the same thing, if I want my human's attention, I'm going to do all the things they don't want. This will flip it. He'll start doing the things that you want because those are the only ways to get your attention. I would like you both to refrain from petting him unless he either prepays for it or he follows an instruction for you, or he is just organically, as he walks by, you pet him and say come as he walks by. So now you're putting in context, give him a reason to listen to you, and that will make his responsiveness outside, at the dog park, on walks, everywhere else, a lot more, it'll improve the performance quite a bit. Let me see. We also talked about, I went over a couple exercises. I went over a leave it exercise, and that's in the video above. We also did the video, I don't know if I'm going to post it, but I have a video of how I met Stoney and creating that treat trail. So that's a nice way to meet people that first come into your house. And you guys might not need to do that because Stoney's pretty relaxed once he gets a treat or two. But when guests come over, give them about 4 or 5 treats and tell them you can only give these treats to Stoney if he does something. After a while, Stoney will come sit in front of them. He'll lay down. He'll start doing stuff for them because he associates when people come over, if I do tricks for them, they will reward and pay me. And that motivates him to want to do those things. So the leave it exercise, what I want you to do is I want you to practice that leave it the way we talked about in the video. Then what I want you to do, if the camera is the TV and I'm sitting here, is I put the trash can halfway between me and the TV so that when Stoney goes into it, he goes into my line of sight and I get to watch TV and do what I'm already doing. Every time Stoney comes up towards it, I say, leave it. He turns away and I give him a treat. So we're paying him. Right now, he wants to get stuff in the trash, and if he does get in the trash, he gets rewarded, and if he doesn't, he gets no reward. So his motivation is to get in the trash. So if we put the trash can that's empty, he walks towards it, it's not as appealing because it's empty, and we say leave it, and he leaves alone, we give him a reward. After we do that enough where we say he automatically walks around the trash can because he knows that he gets a reward for doing that, then we put trash in there, but not any trash that is really too particularly smelly. Practice a little bit more. And then eventually we put trash in there with some meat or something that he really wants. Now we make it more challenging, but we've helped him work up to that level. And when you're going to the bathroom, you pick up the trash can and you go put it somewhere else where Stoney can't get into it, because every time he gets into it, that's going to reward and validate and cause him to do it more often. We also talked about, we call it Roman blinds. Our windows, are, as humans, or as in North America, they go down. Roman blinds go up. So what I would recommend here at the bottom of the screen, if this is the window, cover up with white paper the bottom part of the window. So when Stoney goes to the window and he looks out, he can't see if his barks make people go. This is why dogs bark. It's going to go to the window, they see somebody and say, hey, delivery man, I don't want you here. What the hell are you doing here? That's right. Oh man, you walked up my porch and you left a box? What the hell is your... That's right, get the hell out of here. Don't come back. And the delivery person leaves. And the dog thinks its barking is what caused it to leave because it saw the person leave. We block the bottom part of our screen here, and the dog comes over and I can't see whether my barks make him leave or not, I don't get the validation. And after about a month or two, the dog gets out of a habit of doing it. Remember, it takes 2 months to form a behavior pattern or a habit. So we need to block the old behavior while we're simultaneously teaching him the new behavior. Let me see. So I'm gonna go take a look inside, and we're gonna look away. What I'm probably gonna do is teach the guardians show the guardians how we can teach Stoney to move away from the door and go to a certain spot. Anytime your dog's reactive, the best thing you do is increase the distance between them and whatever they're reactive to. So the best way to do that is teach him when nobody's at the door, and then after a while you can do it where you knock on the door. And then he goes over, he hears the knock or the doorbell and runs away from the door, because when I do that, I get a reward. So I'll talk about that inside, and we'll see. I haven't seen the inside, so we'll have to look at the layout of the house. All right, Stoney dog. Come here, Stoney. Come on up. Come here. He's being bashful. Come here, Stoney. Come here. Come on. Come up here. Get it, Stoney. Well, I guess you can kind of see Stoney. This is my buddy Stoney. Come here. I just want to show everybody how handsome you are. Yes. This is Stoney dog. There we go, with a treat. And Stoney says, remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.